Hey guys! So it's that time of year again. It's the fall, and with autumn comes Christmas knitting, but also comes Stephen West's Mystery Knit Along. So last year on this channel I went ahead and filmed a week by week progress with last year's Mystery Knit Along shawl, which was the Doodler, and you can see that my finished Doodler here. And if you want to watch any of those videos, I will link them right here, so go ahead and click on them. I am of course wearing the Mystery Knit Along project from the year before, although I didn't knit it then, I knit it afterwards, which is of course the Exploration Station, and this is a homespun Exploration Station, so I spun all of the yarn and dyed it myself for this project, and I will link in some of those videos right here. A little bit about my Doodler that makes it extra special is I actually cast this project on the day after I found out I was pregnant, but before we knew we were having twins. So it's a very special project, and it is one of the first knits that I ever completed that used indie dyed yarn. So I love my Doodler, and now that the weather here in Canada is getting wool appropriate again, I'm gonna have to start wearing it some more. Anyways, today's video. So today's video is to show off my yarn choices for the Stephen West Building Blocks Mystery Knit Along, and to discuss some speculation before the first clue goes live on Friday. So let me grab my yarn. So here it is, all caked up. I actually wound it yesterday, and Alexander helped by behaving, and Dominic helped by napping while I did the winding of these 4 cakes of yarn. You can see some of that footage here. Anyways, this is yarn that I purchased this past month in Calgary from a friend of mine who is the lovely owner and dyer behind Sea Turtle Fiber Arts. So that's Sarah, and you should check her out. Link to her website and her shop is in the description below. You can purchase her yarns online. She also vends at numerous fiber events in Alberta, and was recently at Knit City over in Vancouver. Anyways, I immediately thought of her yarns when it was time to pick out yarn for this project. I've used some of it before. It knits up beautifully. You can click on the link to my little Lionberry shawl, shawlette that was knit in some of her Ridley sock, and really enjoyed working with that yarn. So check that out in the description below. So thought of this yarn when it was time to pick for the Building Blocks Cal. Stephen West is recommending a fingering to sport weight yarn. This year he actually sold kits through Stephen and Penelope of matched force gains of a Hedgehog Fibers exclusive weight that is, I think, a 100% merino, sort of halfway between a fingering and a sport weight. I did contemplate trying to get a hold of one of those sets, but I'm pretty sure they sold out basically instantaneously, so not so lucky with that. So then Sea Turtle Fiber Arts was clearly my next choice. She's great colors. Lots of her colorways are available on the website all the time, and because I was in Calgary, I actually got to go over to her house. I should have brought my camera with me, but I didn't, to dig through her inventory and pick out the colors that I wanted exactly from all of her inventory. So let's talk about them. First up is Blacklight. So this one here is actually the inspiration color for the 4 that I chose for this project. These are all on her Ridley sock base, and I will grab the ball band so I can give you that information. So there is her label info, and here is what we're looking at for the Ridley sock base. And that is 80% superwash merino, 20% nylon, so typical 80-20 sock yard. sock yarn. Key here is that there's 420 yards per 115 grams. This is important because so far for the pattern, Stephen is calling for make sure you have 400 yards of all of your colorways. Last year with the Doodler, I ran out of yarn, lots of people ran out of yarn for some of the sections, and it turned out there were variations towards the end that needed to be made to allow people to finish their shawls with whatever amount of yarn they had left. So this year I wanted to make sure that I had some breathing space, and so I've got 20 extra yards of each yarn, which will hopefully prevent yarn shortages this year. Also, knitting a fingering weight yarn should hopefully stretch things a little bit longer too. Yeah, so it's an 80/20, and it's really all there is to know about her Ridley sock base, except that it knits up great. So I picked out, before I even went to her house, I picked it out from the website, a skein of the Blacklight, which is a black yarn that is variegated with grays, purples, pinks, and blues. And from Blacklight, I then went on to select Storm, which is a tonal blue that picks up on the blues and black lights. A gray one that I don't remember the name of right now that matches the grays in the black light, and an, as of that time, unnamed purpley pink one that matches some of the purples and pinks in the black light. So the four of these are going to comprise my building blocks cowl shawl, and it's a bit of a darker color palette than I usually work with. Even the pinky purple being bright is still sort of has undertones or halos of black on the dye job, so it's going to be, I don't know, a little bit different for me, but I'm excited about it. Alright, so speculation now. So the pattern is called Building Blocks, which I think hopefully gives me an idea of what maybe we can expect. With last year with the Doodler, you couldn't really get any sort of predictions on what the pattern would look like, and it ended up being this sort of ray-based pattern that's similar to the structure of dotted rays, and then that showed up in a couple of his subsequent patterns that were released over the course of the year. So last year we have like a rays-based pattern, the year before we have a traditional crescent shawl. This year with a name like Building Block, I'm hoping that it's going to be a modular construction type of shawl, similar maybe to Vertices Unite, or maybe something really exciting and uniquely shaped like Lumpy Space or the W. And I've put pictures of those patterns in here. So if you're unfamiliar about how this is going to move forward, Stephen West releases one clue of his mystery shawl pattern on each Friday this month, and hopefully I will be able to knit fast enough in all of my limited time, basically during the boys' naps and after they go to bed at night, to keep up with his clues. Last year I kept up for the first 2 weeks and then failed miserably with the Doodler, didn't finish it until February. This year I'm really going to push to try and finish the whole project here in October so that I can wear it over the winter. And then I will film a video at the end of each week showing you my progress, talking about what was easy, what wasn't with this week's clue. So don't click ahead if you don't want spoilers, although I'm sure, you know, typically Stephen West patterns, it's going to be all over Instagram, all over Facebook, and all over Ravelry, so you'd have to basically live underneath a rock to avoid seeing some images of the shawl as it is completed, but don't watch if you don't want to see. Anyways, hopefully in addition to these 4 videos coming up over the next 4 weeks, I will film a regular episode of my podcast now that we are back here in Medicine Hat and things are more settled. People have been asking on Instagram and through Ravelry about how the boys are doing. We were in hospital in Calgary for 2 weeks last month, and they have come home with feeding tubes, but they're doing great and are super happy, healthy babies. Just have some new accessories now that make things a little bit more interesting around here. Anyways, more on that and more on what's going on in my yarn lab will be in a subsequent podcast video, hopefully in the next week or so. In the meantime, happy knitting, happy crocheting, happy spinning, happy dyeing, and hopefully you guys will join along on this year's West Knits Mystery Cal. That's all for now. I've been Sarah, this is my Yarn Lab, and happy experimenting with fiber, guys!